Happy Friday, everyone. It is May 18th, 2018. I'm Savino. This is Sushi Talks. First off, my question of the week I asked on Monday was, what drives you? What drives you to make music? What drives you to create? I asked that question. This is a good way to learn something about yourself going forward, all right? So think about that. Feel free to message me if you have any, let me know what you think what drives you, anything like that, all right? So, earlier in the week, I asked a question also, or I didn't ask a question, I made the point of making at least 3 beats a day, or 5 beats a day, 10 beats a day. Doing so, you will develop your style more, all right? You'll be training your ear the importance of how certain notes work together opposed to how certain notes create dissonance or don't get along, all right? Like bad siblings. So, by practicing all the time and making a lot of instrumentals, you might run into the issue of having so much material but you never finish any of it because you're always making new stuff. And that's a bad habit to fall into. I fall into that trap a couple times in my time making music, and it's something I'm definitely way more conscious of now. And doing so, I've actually made a lot more money. I've made a lot more radio ready product. I've made more polished stuff. I've developed way more by finishing stuff, opposed to just trying to always chase a new sound and create a new sound and create and develop my style more and more and more. You don't realize until you start doing it that by always finishing products, that it's like that moment in time's officially over and you could just create new stuff. You don't even have to, because in the back of your mind, it's like you have all this material that I've used, but you're not sharing it with anybody. You're not making money off it. That kind of like clog up your mind. So by always finishing stuff, you're always creating, essentially cleaning up the garage. So you're getting rid of all that junk you don't need to store anymore, and you're getting new stuff, new ideas, not only new ideas, but again, like I said, when you're finishing stuff, you're going to be creating new opportunities as well. Opposed to if you're never finishing stuff, you might not have material on hand to show people because you don't feel like it's not mixed yet, and you have excuses for everything. Opposed to someone asks to hear your music on spot, you're like, yeah, everything's ready, mixed and mastered, ready to go. You look way more professional opposed to the person that's just creating all day nonstop. All right. So today's video is basically what happens when you do get in that kind of rut, how to kind of sort yourself out of that mess, all right? So here's a few different ideas I thought of. The first one would be designating 1 day a week to mixing. So say you're making 3 beats a day, all right? So you got about 30 beats, something like that. Wow, I can't do math. 21 beats, something like that, right? So that's a lot of work to mix on 1 day. So you have to be, if you're doing stuff like that, one thing you'll learn, or at least you'll develop how to mix quick. But you might be missing out on times where when you're first learning how to mix, you need to spend a lot of time kind of sorting out the puzzle of what mixing is on your own. That way you develop your own sound and you create your own identity, all right, as an engineer or as a music producer, beat maker, all right? But like I said, the positive side of doing that is you'll learn how to handle a lot of work at once. You'll learn how to at least manage all of that, and again, you'll get quick at mixing because you'll know, all right, I have only 24 hours to mix 21 songs. That's a lot. So you're gonna have to break that down into really quick mixes, and necessarily won't be the best mixes because you're mixing quick. Actually, let me take that back, that last part, because I still think that's too quick, but I would say that the best mixes are the quick mixes, because you're not putting so much thought into it. You're just going off feeling. But that's more for when you already have the fundamentals and you forget it. This is for more when you're just trying to develop the fundamentals when you're first starting off, all right? So yeah, you could do that. You could put all the projects in one day and try to separate them all, and you might find that over time you could kind of look back at the projects and see how you've developed in the last few months. Be like, all right, this was 8 weeks ago, I did all these beats, and then you compare it to just 2 weeks ago, and you will hear a difference in your mix. It might be subtle, but chances are if you're mixing that many songs over that many weeks, you're going to develop very quickly. All right, so that's something cool to think about if you stay consistent. By the way, the big if you're consistent and you actually are working hard and you're serious and you really want to make this into something. All right. Another thing I would do sometimes if I feel like making a lot of beats in one day, I will just pick the maybe the best. Say I make 5 beats, I'll pick the best 2 or 3 out of those 5. You know, at the end of the creating process, I'll open up each project, and they might sound different than when I first heard them or when I first made them a couple hours back. You know, hear them refresh, I'm like, ooh, what the fuck was I thinking? Or it might be like, all right, this is sick as hell, you know? So the ones that make you feel like the latter, those are the ones you should mix. You know, that's the one that has a little bit of passion in it, that sparks that fire, you know? So you pick those two out, and then just focus on getting the best mix you possibly can. Clean them up, make them sound heavier, make them sound fuller. Bring out the reverb if it needs more reverb, and whatever you need to bring out the vibe, do so. But you know, chances are, if that's the best beat out of the batch, then there's got to be some cool quality out of it. So try to enhance that quality and bring out that quality like a really good artist would. All right. So then, this is what I usually do the most often. I mix the beat as I'm making the beat. All right. So maybe I'll every project's different. So I don't do this every time. Again, people, don't think this is like the standard and you have to do this. You find your own way. But this is what I do sometimes. If I something just tells me to do that. All right. So what I'll do is I'll start mixing the song as I'm making the song. And the reason for that is, one, it helps open up the mix more. So I could sometimes if I'm trying to layer sounds together, right, it might sound cluttered or it might get crazy. And it's hard to hear what I'm trying to add to it. Even though I didn't use a lot of sounds, it could just be maybe the volumes are fighting with each other. So I'll mix the song. So maybe I'll get the levels of the kick. I'll get the levels of the snare. After I get the structure and the skeleton, maybe I'll throw on a quick limiter and compression. Anything like that, all right? I find that's my favorite approach, is mixing the beat as I'm making it. Another thing you could do is you can mix the whole entire song, or you can make the whole entire song, all the details, do all that, and then mix the beat right after that. But I find that that could be a little bit more time consuming, and that could kind of screw up the schedule often. So, you know, you could try that out if that works for you. But if you're trying to make at least 3 to 5 to 10 beats a day, you have to kind of keep that in mind. All right. That's not a bad idea. I would recommend, if you finish a song, as far as you have an artist singing on it and everything, I would recommend, you know, working on that, and mixing that and getting that sound, at least getting it sound like a raw mix that sounds pretty good. For the next session, when you open it up again with fresh ears, you could do the real mix. But when you're just making beats, just get them sound banging, get them sound heavy, get them sound clean. Have some depth to them. Have some originality to them, please. and make a beat website, put them up on your beat website, start making some money off it, and start making money. You'll start making more. You'll have a demand for beats. You'll be making more beats for people. Before you know it, you'll have a network. It's not overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It's a nonstop grind. This isn't a stable job. You're not having a 9 to 5 with a stable salary. You know, some weeks you'll do better than others. So you have to grind nonstop. This is the life of being an artist. All right. So happy Friday, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys next week. Don't get too drunk. It's finally getting nice out with the weather. I take that back. Get drunk as fuck. Just don't drive. All right, have a good one, everybody.